There are few characters in anime and light novels as a whole that capture me in their likability. Ichinose Honami is that character. As her character was introduced, we see her as this perfect leader, while also being very sociable and kind to other classes. She is someone that is presented as a likable character that you can't seem to hate.
Oh my god!
As time goes on, you start to wonder if this is actually the case, especially after we see Kushida's true personality. Is this actually the case? Is she hiding her true personality as well? Is Ichinose Honami not who she presents herself to be? Well, we're here in order to find that out. Ichinose to start with is kind. Very kind. So kind in fact that it's scary. You see this from the very beginning when she asks Anakoji to pretend to be her boyfriend in order to escape from a confession. Because she doesn't want to hurt her precious classmate. This is where we start to see that she isn't a perfect character. She isn't someone who can make quick and rational decisions, like a leader should. But again, we question this, if this is actually the real her. Because after Anakoji helps her out on this situation, she lends a hand to him by using her points and influence to get info that could help Anakoji. And this is where we see the first red flag, her points. She has over 2 million private points, which is an insane amount considering how new everyone is to the school. Did she do something underhanded in order to get these points? A lot of questions come to mind after seeing this. Doubt starts to creep into my mind. I knew it. She's hiding something. We later find out the truth to this in Volume 9. It was revealed that the reason for the absurd amount of points she was holding was because she was acting as a bank for her entire class in order to save points for emergency situations. So she didn't do anything underhanded, right? Well, in this case, she didn't. But in the very same volume, we find out she did something in her past when a letter was spread across the school that stated, Ichinose Honami is a criminal. This is getting interesting. She has done something really bad in her past, considering how affected she was by this letter. She was heavily affected by this letter to the point she stopped going to school, being absent continuously, not responding to anyone. Then Anakoji decided to help her out by getting Ichinose to reveal what she did. I was like, this is it. The reveal. Finally, her true personality would come to light. She then stated what she did. She was a thief. She stole something from the mall. Holy crap. It's not as crazy as I thought, but that doesn't change the fact that she stole something. She really was a criminal. But then she went and said that she did all of this for her little sister. She stole a fashionable hair clip for her little sister's birthday because her family was poor. And when her mother found out about this, she made Ichinose go back to the mall to admit what she did and return the item she stole, basically turning herself in. That's it? Her incredibly dark past is her stealing a hair clip? When I read this, I honestly couldn't believe it. She wasn't hiding anything malicious. She wasn't hiding another side of her. She was just a genuinely good person. And this is when I came to realize that she is just a good person. Plain and simple. This also makes you realize that the reason her past came to light in the first place was because of her kindness. This only happened because she revealed her secret to the leader of Class A, Sakayanagi Arisu. So then you start to wonder, how can a person be so kind, or how far does her kindness go? It doesn't take long for you to find out how far she's willing to go, because in the next volume, the light novel, in Volume 10, when all the first year classes from Class A all the way to Class D are forced to expel one student, and the only way for a class to not have someone expelled is to have 20 million private points. Ichinose decided that she was willing to use 20 million private points in order to save one of her classmates, despite not having enough, being short 4 million points. The only way she could make up for this deficit is to borrow points, and the only person willing to give her those points was the student council president Nagumo Miyabi, in exchange for getting into a relationship with him. Ichinose was torn on this, because she was starting to feel some type of way for her boy Anakoji after he helped her get through her past when she was labeled a criminal. Even so, if there was no other way to save her class from having a student expelled, she would go through with this, giving up her freedom and happiness. Fortunately enough, Anakoji came through for her again, by finding a way to get her those 4 million points she needed, so no one would be expelled from her class. This marks the point where we see how kind-hearted she is, willing to do anything for her class, even if it's detrimental to going up to Class A, and even sacrificing herself. After these events, Ichinosi's feelings started growing for Ainakoji, even if she doesn't see or notice what these feelings are, and how to deal with them. But even so, she doesn't want to confess them, because they're from rival classes. She doesn't want to be a burden to her class. And this is where we start asking questions. Is Ichinose too kind for her own good? Well, in year 2, volume 4.5, when she was about to confess to Ainakoji, Nagumo sneaks in a little remark about how Ainakoji Kyotaka and Karuzawa Kei were dating. She froze and ran away. Not because she knew she was going to get rejected, but because she feels like she would be too much of a bother, and she doesn't want to impose on anyone. She goes through extreme anguish to the point where she couldn't look or talk to Ainakoji when they come across each other. Her kindness even after the scenario did not change though, especially towards her class. But because of her inhuman levels of kindness, people from her class like Kanzaki Ryuji start to question her. In year 2 volume 5, when the last question of the exam for the entire class was revealed, that you could either expel someone from your class and get 100 class points, or keep everyone and not gain an advantage. In this scenario, Kanzaki wanted the class to expel someone for the class points, because he feels like the class is in a hopeless situation. But because of the unity of Class B and Ichinose's unwavering kindness in order to keep the class together without sacrificing anyone, Kanzaki was defeated and felt hopeless, feeling that nothing would change, and that the battle to reach Class A has had to come to an end. This is where we start to doubt if Ichinose's methods were actually correct, whether it's to the benefit of the class to be disunited. This started as far back as Volume 11 in the final special exam of the year, where Ichinose's class, at the time Class B, lost to Kakeri Ryuin due to underhanded methods. She could have reported them, but because of her kind nature, Ichinose decided not to press charges against Class C. As a reader, I started to think heavily, if she's too kind for her own good or not. Will she ever reach Class A if she doesn't change her ways? As a character, Ichinose Honami is incredible. She breaks the norm with her superhuman levels of kindness. But then you realize there's a fine line between being a kind but fair leader to being a complete pushover. She's teetering between these two lines, but as you might have noticed, she's starting to fall on the side of being a pushover. To finish things off, Ichinose is the definition of kind, but without end results to go with this, she falls into the category known as a pushover, even falling short of some of her classmates' expectations. And this is what makes her character great, because she's someone who embodies her ideals without wavering in any way, willing to sacrifice even herself and the success that is needed in order to climb this ladder. Even when her back is against the wall, and when just about anyone else would break from the enormous strain and pressure in order to keep these ideals, she continues and pushes for her class to be together, not losing anyone. You then understand that everything has a price, and for Ichinose Honami, this is the price of kindness.